I gripped the steering wheel in the darkness. 3 a.m. The DMZ checkpoint 200 meters ahead. Searchlights cut through the falling snow, sweeping toward the bus. Behind me, 12 people held their breath. No one spoke. Everyone knew if I hit the brakes, we all die. If I floored the gas pedal, maybe we live. The soldiers raised their rifles. Red stop signals flashed. That day, I pressed the accelerator instead of the brake. To tell this story, I need to go back 15 years. Born in Pyongyang, I became a driver like my father. At 25, I wasn't assigned to drive party officials. I got the political prisoner transport bus. My supervisor threw the paperwork at me. Tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Report to the assembly point. On my first run, I saw people in handcuffs. Maybe 20 of them. Their eyes were all different. Some shook their heads in denial. Others stood vacant, already dead inside. A woman in her 20s was crying. A man in his 50s trembled with clenched fists. 5 hours later, we arrived at the camp. Layer upon layer of barbed wire. Machine guns on every watchtower. I watched people walk into the mines. Walking skeletons. Some were eating grass roots. That night, I vomited in the bathroom. I couldn't sleep, but the next day, and the day after, I gripped that wheel again. If I refused, I'd become a prisoner myself. Over time, I learned not to see their faces, not to hear their voices. I became a machine, just following orders. Killing my emotions was the only way to survive. 3 years later, I met someone through an arranged date. A department store clerk in Pyongyang. Her name was Han Unju. When we first met, she smiled. I got extra cookie rations today. Lucky day. I was amazed she could smile over something so small. When she asked about my job, I dodged. Transportation company driver. She didn't press further. I was grateful. After marriage, we lived in a small apartment on Pyongyang's outskirts. The heating barely worked, but sitting together, eating and talking, those were my happiest moments. Unju never complained. She always smiled. I'm okay as long as I have you. One winter night, I came home too drunk. Unju wiped my face with a wet towel. Suddenly, tears burst out. Everything I'd held back came flooding. I transport people to the camps. I've been doing it for 15 years. Unju's hand stopped. I couldn't lift my head. She spoke quietly. You're a victim too. It's not your fault. That night, I cried in her arms for the first time. Several more years passed. One ordinary cold morning, I reported for work and received the day's transport list. As always, I scanned the names without thinking. Han Unju, born 1985, Pyongyang outskirts, district. My heart stopped. The woman who smiled beside me yesterday was now on today's prisoner list. My hand shook. The paper fell. Another driver asked, "Hey, what's wrong?" I couldn't answer. I learned later that Unju had accidentally heard a South Korean radio broadcast. She mentioned it to a coworker, who reported her to the security bureau for a promotion. I raced home like a madman. The apartment was empty. Breakfast sat on the table with a note. I'll make something good for dinner. Come home early. Reading those words, my knees buckled. I collapsed on the floor, sobbing. But there was no time to cry. I had hours to decide. I spread 15 years of knowledge through my mind. Checkpoint locations, alternate routes, bridges, mountain roads. I mapped the route to Panmunjom. A terrible thought crossed my mind. Should I just escape with Unju alone? But I immediately pushed it away. If I wanted to remain human, I couldn't abandon the others. For 15 years, I delivered too many people to the camps. No more. I'll take all 12 to Panmunjom. If we fail, we all die together. If we succeed, we all live together. I filled the tank completely. I packed blankets, water, emergency rations. At the assembly point, I found Unju among the lined-up prisoners. She wore handcuffs. Our eyes met. Unju nodded slightly. I couldn't speak. The bus departed. After an hour, a voice came from behind. "Driver, is this the right road to the camp?" The atmosphere shifted. People started murmuring. I stopped the bus. I turned around slowly. Today, this bus isn't going to the camp. I'm taking you south. The bus exploded into chaos. Are you insane? If we're caught escaping, our families die too. What about our children? A man in his 50s shouted. Who are you to decide our fate? Then Anju stood up. Her hands trembled. I'm this driver's wife. You're on this bus because of me. I'm sorry, but if we go to the camp, we all die anyway. Please, come with us. Long silence fell. The 50-year-old man sighed. Our lives are finished anyway. Let's try it. Others nodded one by one. The bus started moving again. 30 minutes later, a truck followed us. A colleague driver. The radio crackled. Vehicle 14, confirm your route. I didn't answer. I swerved off the main road. The chase began. 2 military jeeps joined. Gunfire erupted. The bus windows shattered. Screams. A young woman collapsed, bleeding from her shoulder. Get down. Everyone down. We entered a narrow mountain road beside a cliff. One wrong turn meant the abyss. Behind me, prayers mixed with crying. The chase vehicles closed in. Then I saw an old bridge. A gamble. I didn't know if it could hold the bus's weight. Hold on. We entered the bridge. Terrifying creaking sounds. The steel beams bent. No one breathed. We made it across. Looking back, the chase vehicles had stopped. Part of the bridge collapsed. There was no going back now. We drove another hour. The Panmunjom Joint Security Area checkpoint appeared. 2-3 layers of barbed wire. Machine guns and searchlights pointed at the bus. From behind, Anju spoke quietly. I love you. I floored the accelerator. We rammed the barbed wire. Glass shattered everywhere. Bullets rained down. Someone screamed. The smell of blood. Southern soldiers rushed out. They formed a defensive line facing north. My vision blurred. The last thing I saw was Anju's crying face. Then everything went dark. White ceiling. Disinfectant smell. Regular beeping machines. Someone held my hand. Anju. We're in the south. We survived. She was crying and smiling. A doctor entered. 9 of 12 survived. 3 didn't make it. My chest collapsed. I felt like I'd killed them, not saved them. Anju gripped my hand tight. They knew. Better to die racing toward freedom than in the camp. I underwent National Intelligence Service interviews. I testified everything from 15 years. Camp structures, checkpoint locations, transport routes. Everything. Other survivors had their stories. The student was caught by guilt by association. The worker was blacklisted for refusing bribes. All ordinary people. I settled in South Korea. I became a taxi driver. Now instead of driving people to prison, I take them wherever they want. Every time a passenger says, "Thank you," I choke up. Anju adapted quickly. She works part-time at a convenience store, studies Korean again, achieves small dreams one by one. I still have nightmares every night. Barbed wire, gunfire, screams. But when I see Seoul's lights outside and hear Anju breathing, I come back to myself. This is the life I chose. Sometimes I look toward the northern sky. I think of those still suffering in the camps. I'll keep testifying. I'll keep working for human rights. For those 3 who couldn't come with us. Freedom stands on someone's life. I won't forget that.